Hi there learners, let's jump into today's video where we have now already looked at what the PAT is all about. We have taken a brief look at the topic, so now we're going to start venturing into actually getting down to the nitty-gritty and starting our PAT. So I'm in the learner guidelines again, this document you should have, and I just want to touch on a few things before we jump in. Again, we know what the PAT is. Just again, please understand the following. This is done over 3 phases in the first 3 terms of grade 12. So with phase 1, we are defining the task. We have to find, access, and evaluate information that's needed to complete the task. In phase 2, we process the data and information. All of that which we've accessed, which we've evaluated, which we've found. And then in phase 3, we present the information, solutions, findings, and conclusions. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Right, now as we go down, again, remember we have the breakdown, phase 1, 2, and 3, and they just underline this just so that we know it counts for 25% of your final mark. Right. So we remember now that our topic is creating awareness of green jobs to contribute to environmental sustainability. So please remember, with something like this, you're not only going to be finding out information on green jobs, on creating awareness, you're going to be looking at maybe some stats as well. You're going to be looking at some graphs, anything around that sort of region. But we'll look at some of the links that they've sent us. Again, they give us some more info on the topic. Here they say green jobs, see diagram on page 7, are jobs where at least 10% of the work and or production supports sustainable development. In other words, they are not only giving us the topic, they're also defining what a green job is so that when you research this, you know what to look for. You know how to evaluate whether this is a green job or not. Okay? They talk about the sectors. Remember, we've now done that. We've gone through all of this. We were looking at this the last time. This is the diagram that they give us where they are showing us the different sectors and the different jobs within those sectors. Okay, so like I mentioned the last time when we went through this, this is your task. You have to choose one green job from one of these sectors. Okay, so let's say, for example, we are going to choose renewable energy and we are going to go with the solar panel installer. Let's just use that as an example. Now, they want us to investigate, to research how to obtain a green job. So now remember, if this is going to be my green job, well, how would I go about becoming a solar panel installer? What does a solar panel installer do? These are the types of questions we need to ask, right? Is there a big job market for this? Is there a lot of demand for this type of job? All of those type of things, right? So how to obtain the green job, how to implement green jobs or change jobs to green jobs, the challenges and implications associated with a green job. Remember, when they talk about this, they're talking about that specific one which you've chosen. And again, you can look at it on a local, provincial, or national level. So let's just go down and we see a number of links. I think I've got some of them open here. So here are some of the links where they talk about green jobs, what they are. They give us a lot more information. Folks, you are going to have to read through these articles and take whatever information is suited to your particular topic. It's always good to use some of the pictures, the graphs, the stats, those type of things. But please ensure that you reference everything. So I'll often say to the learners, please, as you go through this, just make sure, even if you use a separate document just to copy and paste some of the info, just take the reference, the date you accessed it, what the site was, the site's name, the article, author, all of these types of things. Here's another link where they talk about green jobs, the only way to go. And there's links to other articles as well. This one is Unity Environmental University. So there is a lot of info just in what they have shared in these links. Okay, so take some time, go through this, and then you've obviously got to apply, because this will be, some of them will be in agriculture, others will be in different fields. Some will have information that applies generally to the topic, and then you'll have to see how you apply it to your particular choice. Okay, so let's go down to phase 1. Now, let's look at what they want us to do. So they want us to create a suitable folder structure. Now, please, when they talk about the suitable folder structure, all they mean is the following. And they'll tell you exactly what they want with regards to that. Let me just open something here quickly. Okay. So here, for example, the folder structure is usually this. You'll have a main folder, and I'm just going to call it PAT 2024. And then inside that folder, they would want us to create a folder named phase 1, phase 2, and usually phase 3 as well. Okay, this is the folder structure they're talking about. The main folder, and inside that, phase 1, 2, and 3, and then whatever you do inside of those phases, you'd obviously save it within that folder, but we can have a look at that as we go along. They want you then to formulate a task definition and a focus question, and we'll see what that is. Draw up questions to guide the research process. I mean, I was just going through a few questions now as I was looking at the topic. That's what they want you to do. Identify sources. In other words, where did you find the information? Identify the research methods you will use. What are you going to use? Are you going to use those articles? Are you going to look online? Are you going to go to books? Are you going to go to podcasts? Are you going to go to any of those? You want to look at a background, so background research as well, and assess the information sources. Now, I can say that I'm getting my information from a particular website, but that website might not even be credible, right? So you want to assess that, and they're going to show you all of that. But that's what you need to do for phase 1. Now, let's go into even more detail. Here they have the instructions for phase 1, okay? So let's look at that. They want you to determine what the problem is and what needs to be done. So when we're looking at our particular topic, and if we use the example of the solar panel installer, you might be asking the question, how can one get into the job of installing solar panels? You might have a different question around whatever the case is. You need to determine what the problem is. Is there a demand for solar panel installers? Is it a good job to go into? Anything like that. Then when you've looked at that problem and you have that problem and what you actually need to find out, what you need to research, you need to then work out a focus question. So what is the focus of that going to be? Maybe, is it a successful business to go into? Is this something that is, or that there's a need for locally, nationally, internationally? Then you need to decide what data and information you're going to need for the project. So when it comes to solar panel installers, is there a demand for solar panels? What are the costs of solar panels? What's the hardware involved? Is there software that's needed? Is there specific things you need to import? You know, all of those type of things. Then where are you going to find the information? Then you have to actually go and find the information and start putting everything together. Right? So here they tell us, they want us to create a suitable folder structure, which I've just shown you how to do. They want you to have a main folder, like I've shown you, your main folder. And then within the main folder, each phase must have its own subfolder. The names of the folders and files that you will store in them should be meaningful. It should indicate that it's for phase 1, 2, or 3. Okay, that's all they're really saying. Then in phase 1, they want you to create a word processing report. In other words, a Word document that will function as your report. It has to have a cover page. There's all the details that need to be in the cover page. It needs to have an automatic table of contents, a table of figures, right? Because obviously you're going to be inserting pictures. And this is why I said to you, referencing as you go along with your research is going to be important. Then the headings. They give you the headings, grade 12s. They are the headings, right? So you can use those headings in that particular order. each one on a new page, and you should be fine with that. And here they just mentioned that some of the headings will not have content until phase 2 or 3. That's fine. So it's fine if in your phase 1 you have the heading, for example, of discussion and analysis, and there's nothing under it, or findings and there's nothing under it, because at this point for phase 1 you won't have that. Then you need to have an appendix, and under the heading appendices that you created in this Word document, you need to have a screenshot of the folder structure. So I would just use this, take a screenshot of this and put it under appendices, right? You can give it the heading folder structure so that we know. And then the only other one is the declaration of authenticity, which you need to have. Now, with defining the task, they want you here in your own words of around about 300 words. They want you to provide a clear statement of the problem or the situation. In other words, why are you doing this investigation? What's the focus? What's the purpose? You need to specify that in broad terms how you are going to approach this. Well, I'm going to be checking for information on the internet. I'm going to be researching this. I'm going to be sending out a questionnaire. These are all the different things I'm going to be doing. Who is your target audience? In other words, when you present your final report with your PowerPoint presentation or your Word report, who is it going to be for? You need to also be able to answer these questions in the task definition. What is the current situation? What will the focus and purpose be? It's basically a repeat of this. How am I going to go about the investigation? And who is my target audience? If your task definition is 300 words and it's answered this, you should be fine. Okay. And then your focus question, I just want to touch on one thing. It is a single sentence. It is asking one question. This is going to be the focus within the task definition. So your task definition is giving everything in broad terms, and then your focus question is looking at one specific question that you are actually going to be researching and focusing on. That's going to be the main area of your whole investigation. Right. Then the thing that usually gives people a pain in the side is this whole table. Right. Now, they mention here that you have to ask questions that's going to guide your investigation. In other words, questions that are going to help you find the appropriate data, find more information. And you're going to have to put that into a table. I think in the appendix, they actually give us one here as a sample. There we go. So this is what it should look like. That's what it should look like. And you can see for each question, you need to indicate what level that question is on, the category of that question, the type of source, in other words, where you're going to find the answer to that, and then some bibliographical information, the quality. You can always do that a bit later, and then the summary. So just look at what the rubric needs from you in phase 1. But this is the table you should have, because what's going to happen is in phase 2 and 3, you'll be asked to add even more. So if you do all of this in phase 1, it actually helps you further on as well. Okay, let's go back up to phase 1. Right. And then once we've got that table, I think that basically has everything, because that's your bibliographical information, the quality of the information. So you are assessing the information that you found, whether it's in a magazine, website, whatever it is. You present it a little summary. And basically once you are done with that, you are ready to hand in. So let's just review. You are submitting a folder with phase 1. It will have a single report, in other words, a single document that has a cover page. It has headings. It has a task definition and focus question. It has an appendix with a screenshot of the folder structure. You have that completed questions and sources table with a minimum of 10 questions, covering 3 categories of question types. Please, that is important. You need sources for each question, because you need to indicate where you are going to find the answer. You need appropriate bibliographical data, assessment of the quality of sources. In other words, just finishing this entire table for each one of those 10 questions. Okay? And then a summary, that's also part of that. Now, this is important because when you go down through this document and you go to the rubric, you can see where you get in the marks. 4 marks for the task definition. 4 marks for the focus question. Those 10 questions, the fact that you have them on 3 levels, 3 categories, and that there's 10 questions, that's another 4 marks. Then, have you got 10 questions? Have you got the appropriate sources? Have you used at least 2 websites and 1 other source? You'll get your 4 marks. Have you indicated, when it comes to the bibliographical information, who the author is, the name of the website? Now, obviously, you're going to come to some places where some of this information is not there. Just indicate N/8 so that it's not applicable, but don't just leave it blank. Okay? So, in other words, for that table, right, that whole table, there's 4 marks, 8 marks, 12 marks, that's 16, that's 20 marks that's coming from just that table. And then the fact that you've given a single report, you've got the headings, you've got an appendix, you've got the evidence of sources, you'll get another 4 marks. And that's how we get to our 32 marks for phase 1. And folks, that is what you should be looking at. That is how you should be getting yourself ready and diving into the first phase of your DBE grade 12 CAT PAT. Don't forget to leave me any questions that you have in the comments, and I'll see if I can do, if there's certain questions, maybe some more detail and maybe some practical how-tos to actually create the table, the task definition, and other items. But for now, that's it for phase 1.